Okay.
Well,
Silent phone.
well, no, it was just AI. How musicians are also like using AI. Some of them, but
Musicians,
then
yeah.
the question is, who's the real artist? You know?
How scary is that?
Yeah, I know.
when AI artists, complete AI, is now like making money from people buying it.
Oh my God!
You know, like what the fuck?
People, and I listen to some AI music, Michael. It's so perfect. You can't help it but to enjoy it so much.
Right.
And it's
That's
ultimate
interesting.
perfection. The
Right.
voice, the whole thing, the pitch, perfect. Music, the instruments, the vocal, it's ridiculously good. And so, you know, you have to sit down to yourself and question, like, oh, do I really want this to support this? And then somebody else is starving their kids because they're not selling their albums or something. So you have to question. By the way, we have beautiful Michael today, long time local in the Shire and contributes so much to the community. He's been former mayor.
So we're on video as well as...
We are on video.
It's a video
as well.
podcast. Oh, there
Welcome.
we go. I would have done my hair if I had known that.
Who cares? You got a Byron style. I just washed my hair, lucky. So we are going to speak about whatever. Michael had been a former mayor, and you were a vice mayor twice, right? Was it?
Yeah, I was deputy
Two
mayor.
terms. Deputy mayor, that's right.
Before I became mayor. Actually, that was why I became mayor at the first time, because Simon Richardson, who was the mayor at the time, and I was his deputy, his wife was passing.
Yeah.
And so he had 3 months off, and so I stepped up into the role very sudden, out of nowhere. Didn't know that was going to happen, obviously. And that was sort of thrown in the deep end. But then the second time was more planned, more, you know, on purpose in terms of being deputy mayor, knowing that Simon would be leaving, and you know, wanting to have a crack at the job before the election that was coming
How
up.
tough was and how easy was the job?
I mean, it's a difficult job for sure, but I loved it. And so when you love something and you're into it, you know, doesn't ever feel tough. It just becomes who you are. That's how I operate anyway. You know, like you sort of, you know, it becomes your identity on some level. And no, I loved it, and I think I had a good affinity for it. You know, I don't take things personally too much.
Oh, good.
So you need that in that role, because, you know, a lot of people come at you.
Oh, yes. I mean, becoming a public figure through politician, through entertainment industry, it's a tough call, because people would love. I mean, sometimes I notice that they have hard time. Some people having hard time supporting you just to get up there. Once you're up there, suddenly, oh, like, I was supportive of you. And then you question, like, really? Were you really? And then when you fall down, and they really rejoice over it. And that's something that I find it's sickening in our society. I don't think we should nurture ourselves through that. But the thing is, this is what I really appreciate about one thing that you did for the community is you saved Santos from bankruptcy over 10 years ago, and you devoted yourself through that.
That's right, yeah.
And then now you're back. You told me you're back working
I'm
with
working
Santos.
there again in a slightly different role, more from as a director and as an accountant, and advising management on what's required. But yeah, they've gotten themselves into another mess, unfortunately, which honestly I take my own share of the responsibility for that, because when I left in 2018, you know, they were in a very strong position, and I sort of recommended one of the managers at the time that to step up with the appropriate support, etc. But I didn't really. I guess in a way I could have done more to ensure that things would continue to be managed well, you know, who was on the board, things like that. I do look back and think, you know, could I have done more to ensure that they wouldn't repeat the mistakes in the past? Unfortunately, there's been a bit of that. Things have been better in terms of the last 18 months. I think there's been a lot of improvements to set the business up for the future.
Yes.
but they just fell a bit short when it came to cash flow. And then over the last 6 months have been in a bit of a spiral down because of low stock and then low sales. And then obviously low sales, you can't, so they've been in a bit of a death spiral. But we've managed to raise a significant amount of money, come up with a plan to save it, so that we can get working capital back, get stock back on the shelves, and that's what's happening at the moment. So it's going to be a lot of hard work over the next 6 to 12 months. And but we had a good staff meeting earlier this week. It seems like everyone's up for the fight.
You're pretty good at what you do then.
Well, I give my best when I'm with someone or something. When I involve myself with something, I take it on, and I want to win.
Yes.
I like games, and it's obviously it's meaningful. It's not just a game, but it's like it's like a game in that if it's retail, for example, it's just numbers and products and customers, and there's an equation, right?
Yes.
So it's about making that equation work as best as you can.
And so, what's the mentality that people fail in business that makes a business goes down? What is it that needs to change, you think? Because I remember you mentioned that it's a way of people seeing that, whether this makes money or not, they tend to forget that. Yeah,
I think every organisation has, different factors and things that might contribute to how it succeeds or not. Certainly with Santos, with the model that we created, in my last time there, when we shifted it from a for-profit enterprise into a not-for-profit, a charity with an environmental purpose. There is dangers with that people think that that it's a not-for-profit, you don't need to make money or something like this. That was never the intention. Like it's a business, it's retail. You need to be competitive. You need to be running it like a business. You need to be on your game, and you need to make money. Right, that's essential. But the idea with the not-for-profit is the owners weren't really taking money out of the business anyway. It was a business which largely gave back to the community anyway, through donations and supporting festivals and local events and things. So it didn't make sense to be paying 30% of income of your profit on income tax if the owners weren't really drawing from the business. A much better structure, in my view, was the not-for-profit. Yeah. But there is a danger there that it's a not-for-profit. You don't have to make money, but it's a business. It's retail. Yes. If you're not winning, you're losing. Really, there's no middle ground. You need to be on it as a business and an operation. So I think there's some dangers there that can happen. But also there was just some pretty questionable decisions over the last few years. The choice of system that they've implemented, how much that costs. There's some things there that unfortunately did temporarily cripple the business. Yes. But in my time there's still a really good body of staff. There's been a change in the board. The board's looking feel there's a change. There's a change in the feeling. There's a change in the atmosphere, and we're pretty positive about the future. But it's going to be a lot of hard work. Yeah, from your experience with the employees, how important is that they understand customer service? Well, yeah, absolutely. It's retail, right? And that's something I always struggle with. Santos has had a bit of a reputation, for potentially not the premium level of customer service. Yeah, that's what I past, and I certainly struggled with that in my first iteration there. But I think everyone's on the same page now about what we need to do going forward, about how we need to greet this customer and serve the customer and connect with the customer in a grounded way. That's what makes me go back to Sops. And you have that. You need to have that connection, but also with limits around how much time you might spend in that. So it's the quality there that matters, rather than descend. It's fine lines. But you want to ensure you have that, but also remembering that there's work to do, there's other customers to serve. So it's that balance that can be problematic, but It's any business that's in customer service has that requirement.
Yes.
I think, and then you have to have that ethic.
Yeah, that's right. Ethic, yeah.
Customer isn't always right, but they need to feel like
they need. That's so true.
Yeah.
And one of the things I learned from really a bit more like 20 years ago, a little boy said to me that he wanted to make a stall in a marketplace. And I was listening, and then he said, and I said, oh yeah, and then you can sell the things that people need. And he said this, no. I said, why not? I will only sell the things that people want to buy. And it was a big wake-up call. You understand? This is like a 5-year-old told me. People don't buy what they need. They buy what they want. Oh, my God.
That's wisdom, isn't it?
I'm in a kid's wisdom. I was so fascinated by that, and that's how I remember for so long. And I think every businessman, if they're going to start, this is business person, doesn't matter. This is actually one of the it's not even a trick, it's just common sense.
Yeah, it's a good story. That is yeah, there's definitely something in that.
When you were a mayor, what was it that inspired you to get into the council? I mean, first you were a councillor.
Initially, I was in the Greens.
Yes.
And my main motivation was the environment, and the on a bigger picture level, how humanity is out of balance with the environment, and that was my inspiration. That was my where I'm coming from, what drove me to it. Obviously, when you get to somewhere like council and you run for council, it's much more practical than that, and it's a much wider range of issues than just the environment. And so my changed when I was on council, and it was really clear to me from early on that housing was the number one issue for this community, and obviously increasingly around Australia. I first was on council 10 years ago, and so Byron was a bit of a canary in the coal mine at that point. We were really struggling, but maybe other places not quite as much. So yeah, one of my big things was holiday letting. It was clear that 20% of Byron Shire was being holiday let. In terms of the housing stock, that's not sustainable, and there were more short-term renters than there were long-term renters. So that was a big focus. But then just housing generally it has become my main focus, is wanting to deliver housing, particularly at the affordable end, but just supply generally. And that helps in a lot of ways, because we are a cash-strapped council. We have a huge amount of road networks in small towns, but we don't have the ratepayer base to be able to fund necessarily the best way. But if we had another, 6,000 or 8,000 dwellings in the Shire, we would not only have potentially really alleviated the housing crisis for people, but we would also have a much higher rate base as a council to be able to then invest money into the services that people need. So relative to what we need to do, we would have a much higher income level as well. But the primary motivation, to be clear, is because people need housing.
Yes.
But a secondary benefit of that is that it improves council's financial position too.
And what do you think the things that needs to be done with our potholes?
Well, more budget, more money.
Okay, explain to me this budget situation. How do you get the money? How do you budget the money, and where does the money come from to fix the roads? It's like really crazy, because we don't understand. I don't understand.
Well, I can give you the theoretical position, or I can give you the actual. So I'll give you the actual. Yeah. What actually happens is state government underfunds councils pretty much across the board. Other than your big Sydney, Newcastle type councils where you've got a huge amount of housing in a small area.
Yes.
The current model sees most councils, particularly in regional areas, underfunded.
Okay.
And then you need to apply for grant funding from state or federal government in order to do the things that are essential, right? So we're not funded to the level we need to be to provide what we're required to do.
Right.
So therefore we're always kind of at the begging bowl, looking for grants, looking for those type of things, which suits the state and federal government because then they get to come along, cut the ribbon, how wonderful are we provided this money, etc. One campaign that's going on at the moment, it's been going on a long time, and I'm not sure that we're going to get any success, but fingers crossed, is federal government to restore the financial assistance grants to councils. We used to get 1% of all income tax collected federally directed to councils. It's currently at 0.45%. So more than halved of the funding that we used to get, as a percentage of the entire country's income tax take, directed to councils.
So you're saying councils not getting that anymore?
We get less than half of what we used to get.
Why did they cut it off?
And there's also criteria around it, which particularly impact Byron, because there's an adjustment made depending on the average wealth of the area, right? So even though we're a relatively poor shire for the average person paying ridiculous rent, the average rent is more than 50% from the disposable income of a household is spent on rent. Like the statistics in Byron are horrible. So we're not a rich shire for the average punter, but we're penalised because our land values, for example, are higher than the average, and therefore we get penalised in terms of the amount of financial assistance grant that we get to supplement council's finances to pay for roads and all the other things that the council does. So the model itself is designed to ensure that we don't spend more than we need. In fact, actually, the end result is we're underfunded and we don't keep up with what we're meant to be keeping up with. That's not to say that we don't waste money and that we shouldn't be looking at our own finances always to ensure that we're not doing things that we don't need to do or we're not overspending. So, and then there's also the question about how well you build the roads, and that's been a bit of an ongoing concern about Byron Council's ability to actually, spend the money in the best way, how we build the roads, how we design the roads. So there's a piece there as well. But there's limited time and certainly as a council, a limited ability to always
financially limited.
Well, just even to impact on these types of scenarios. You have a bit more power in your mayor to sort of direct staff softly into areas. You don't have any direct power as a mayor. You only have the power.
Oh, really?
As council, we're a board.
Okay.
And so everything's through the general manager, and so there can be a disconnect between what the board wants, what the council wants, and then what the staff are willing to do. So there's a whole dynamic there.
Yes. Pretty
good in Byron, I have to say. Like there's a good relationship between councillors and senior staff. So in the past, it's been very bad, and you can remember what our roads were 20 years ago. I think you can say there has been improvements in our road network, but heaps more work to do.
Yeah, heaps more. I mean, the councils, I see road workers, they patch up the potholes, The rain comes, it's gone crazy as well. But then I read an article maybe 18 years ago, someone who, I think he's a civil engineer who wrote it. I can't remember on top of my head. He says that one of the biggest problems with roads is when drainage are blocked. So fluent drainage is really important to have the maintenance of good road lasting. So this is something that it's blocked everywhere. And now they're trying to, clean it up and all that.
No, it's definitely an ongoing concern in the community about our ability to maintain our roads.
Yeah. And, council get blamed a lot for Mega West Byron, for, that bypass created in Butler Street and for paid parkings. Can you explain to us from your perspective? You've been there having to deal with all these. Us who don't
one
understand.
of the absolute best decisions that this council ever made was to bring pay parking in to Byron.
I thought you were going to say the bypass.
The bypass
really
too,
good.
but the opposition we got on the bypass, just insane, and the benefits immediately obvious.
It's great impact.
And there's always, you have to balance the environment. But when you're talking about that road right next to town, yes, there was a hectare of vegetation lost, which we did offset in plantings, but that's not, we've got to have, there's got to be limits around the environment in relation to essential infrastructure, because it's not very environmental to be sitting in Bayshore, outside Bayshore Drive, Bunnings or whatever for an hour, but
trying to get
edging
to town.
into town. You remember what it was like.
I remember,
and
the
that's
lineup is from as far as the new hospital.
But it used to do that. It still does that on occasion, but it moves a hell of a lot more quickly.
So much more fluent.
It used to be in the past. I remember if it was backed up to Ozigo, it's an hour.
Yeah, that's an hour to get, and which is about 3 minutes drive.
But now even if it's backed up to that far, which is not that often, but when it is, it's moving.
It's moving,
and it's 5-10 minutes, you're into town.
I tell you what, though, when I go to town and the recent things that sometimes clogged up is during holidays where they put the traffic controllers in town to stop people, to stop the cars and let people cross. And if you don't put that, I think it's, people with the common sense, it's just more fluency. And so I think traffic controllers is not necessary to be put.
Yeah,
it's just my opinion.
Maybe you can send me an email on that one, and I'll follow up on it.
I'm saying. Oh God! Oh, this is. I do appreciate the changes. What's the pay parking? Why is the pay parkings considered one of the best moves?
Well,
that the council's done.
Prior to that, you had massive parking issues in Byron, in terms of being able to find a park. Mm-hmm. We haven't had that issue since pay parking. Not really. You generally can drive around Byron a lot more quickly than you can around Mullum. You can generally drive around Byron and find yourself a park. There's also underground car parks if you need them in Aldi or at Mercado. But it's the revenue. That's the main impact. The amount of works that we've been able to do as a result of having that revenue coming in has really helped council's finances. If you look at the railway park upgrades, that was paid for through pay parking revenue. You look at the rail corridor upgrades. You look at some of the other works that have been able to be completed, the skate park, all of these type of projects. And I think there's been some improvements. You'll see them soon. There'll be a new playground, children's playground up at Main Beach, because the last one sort of was problematic. So
it's going to be updated.
So that's all. That's all on the way, and that's again paid for by the community's been definitely on to us about getting the playground back. So that has to happen.
That's so good.
I know my kids miss it. So hopefully that'll be soon. But all of these projects cost money, and so that pay parking revenue has been instrumental in some of the upgrades and improvements.
I had Nick from Byron Music on a podcast, and we talked about the challenges of having events and running through bureaucratic stuff with councils.
Because he had the Byron Music Festival there for a couple of years. How can musicians or event organizers like them approach, or how can a council and these kind of people meet a common ground so we can really generate some financial fluency or whatever, so to help business that struggles, whatever. But it is also for the spirit of Byron. How can council be an enabler rather than a blocker?
That's the question. You know exactly what I mean.
Might have to put that one in an email too. No, look, that's been an ongoing challenge: is how to encourage these events, how to help as a council rather than hinder. With our processes and the way we do things. And that's been an ongoing piece of work that we're trying to make that easier. But in an environment where those types of things are proving harder, particularly the large scale events, they've all shut down. I don't know if we're there yet in terms of but I think there are efforts internally to be able to make it easier for new events and things to happen and to more easily get the approvals they need. But I don't think we're there yet.
Because now Blues Fest closed. And we know Byron rely on seasonal tourism with Bluesfest generating quite good amount of income as well for the businesses. I wonder.
Well, this is why I think a lot of people want to see the rail trail delivered, because it replaces one product that we had, Splendor, Falls, Bluesfest.
Yeah.
And it's slightly different. Obviously, we're talking about active transport and people, loading up their bikes and versus the arts. So it's not a direct like for like.
Yes.
But we're not going to be able to recreate the large scale festivals. But we do need to ensure, I think, the future prosperity of the region and the interconnectedness of the region, and I like how we can foster relationships with our neighbouring councils as well, so that we have a Northern Rivers, maybe not brand, but certainly like a joint effort in trying to promote the region.
Yeah.
And the rail trail is central to that. When completed, it's going to run from Tweed Heads down through Byron, and we have the longest section from Billynudgel out to Binnaburra. And then on to Lismore and out to Casino. So I think that's an essential project for us, and that will help to promote more tourism, but in a different type of way than obviously the festivals did.
What sort of type of way of tourism do you consider?
Well, it's people in that like to ride bikes, I guess, ultimately. More that like
bringing to the France,
but nature tourism, people that want to experience the getting outdoors and doing that type of active transport. So it's a different type of customer to the festivals, but it's, I think, important given that we've had this shock to our economy. A lot of people relied on those festivals for their yearly income. That would be a big supplement, cost, accommodation, the market stalls and the clothing stalls, the businesses that relied on that, the artists. So having something to replace that for a lot of those businesses in terms of the influx of people to the town, to the cafes, I think that's important.
Yeah. Paul from Fundis Organic, he was saying on one of the podcasts that he came to, he was saying that, like this market, the Saturday market, artisan market, it's actually taking, to a degree, taking income away from Byron, because people coming up from Lismore, from Gold Coast, and so the cash flow doesn't stay in Byron, it's taken away from...
Which market?
Like the artisan markets.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
He doesn't like them?
Well, it's not necessarily he doesn't like him, but he just brought an awareness that because people applying from all over the place, they come to Byron, then they take the cash away with them, you see? Because they come from the Gold Coast, they come from Lismore, from other places.
For the cultural impact it has, though, having an artisan market, I think it's about the balance there. And yes, some people... But I don't see a big difference between a Byron Shire citizen and a Lismore citizen and a Tweed Head citizen. For me, Tweed Shire citizen, I consider us all, I draw the line at the border. So Gold Coast, they're a different crew. And
that's true.
But I'm not super concerned about that. I think the cultural impact of having the artisan market, and really for any business in that area near there, I would have thought there was a good opportunity to benefit from the people coming to town. But we all have our different views on these things.
Yeah, that's a good thing to be different and then to have a conversation without bashing on each other.
Absolutely.
It's just a cool conversation. But this is what I actually really appreciate as well, because with being in Byron, to be able to have a conversation like this is also reflecting. For me, I kind of see a little bit of a reflection on how you would have discussion as a council, because when I look at the Australian Parliament debates, it's like high schoolers teasing each other, and oh my God, it's so childish. And I was curious.
I think it's reflective somewhat of the media coverage that occurs, though, as well. You know, they're playing to the audience the way that the media covers things. You know, particularly your Sky Sport, the Sky News, and you know, like it's kind of soundbite.
Oh, but I used to watch the Parliament debates.
Sure, but it's like that sort of point scoring thing. I take your point. I agree. It's ridiculous. Like it's childish, and it's but it's not. Yeah, you like to think behind the scenes, outside of the question time, that they are actually working a little bit harder together to try and come up with solutions jointly. But
the drama has to entertain.
Yeah, exactly right. We do it a little bit in council too, like,
there's been some dramas.
It's a theatre, right? Like, I used to be scared of it, like it was like I was never a big public speaker. Or anything,
oh, wow.
so
how did you overcome that?
Just practice. Practice and being right, It helps if you believe what you're saying.
It's so interesting, almost like a relationship. You're Mr. Right, I'm Miss Never Wrong kind of thing.
Okay, it's the same two sides of the same coin.
It's like, almost like that, isn't it? Practicing. When you have to debate with politicians, there's never one person admitted to being wrong.
Well, I think it's a good idea to be humble, and I welcome any opportunity to be wrong, because it can. I think as a prospective leader, or someone who wants to be, a community leader or representative, you want to be the best person in that role you can be, and if you've got to have an open mind, and you have to be willing to be wrong. You have to be willing to be criticised, to be. Well, you definitely. I mean, whether you're willing or not, it's going to happen, right? But you need to be open-minded. You don't have to. It doesn't mean you're going to change, but you need to be able to understand other people's point of view. You need to be able to communicate why you disagree. You need to be able to explain why you have the opinion you do, and you do need to be able to have a different view and be able to do that without ego or worrying about it. It's like if you have that, you're going to get a better decision. You're going to, and it's an opportunity to show that you have that ability to. Land on and change your mind if a better argument presents itself. Yeah. There's a great quote from Emerson in an essay of his around the ability.
This is Ralph Emerson.
Yeah, the ability to just change your mind and have a completely different position from the day before, and that is like consistency is the enemy of good thinking. Consistency is not a good quality in the face of evidence that you should be changing your position. Is the crux of what he was getting at.
Yes. I really like him. I really like his stuff.
I like it too.
His perspective in life as well, and the poems that he writes, it's really profound. It's just,
I never get that far through the book, honestly. I always sort of stop.
I like his poem about success.
Oh, okay.
You know that short poem? Oh, you don't know that one. It's so cool. What is the success? What is success? And it's just really beautifully written. I can't really quote it.
Is it a little bit like the Rudyard Kipling thing about success?
Oh no, that's probably.
Is that the one you mean?
Oh, must be that's him. So you're right. It's wrong. I mixed it up.
In any case, he probably had the same thing to say.
No, similar thing. Thank you, Michael. Oh my God. Yeah, you're right. There's something similar that Ralph Emerson wrote as well. But anyway. With being in Byron, how long have you been here?
2010 I arrived.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I moved in with a friend in Cemetery Road, down in near Lillipilly there.
Yes. Where from? Where did you move from?
Oh, I was in Germany before that.
You speak German?
Ich spreche ein bisschen Deutsch. Und nicht so good. But I was there for 2 years. Honestly, I was teaching English, which is the worst job to have if you want to get better at it. Well, if you want to
they speak English.
That's all they want to do, right? So it was a really bad choice of job to immerse myself in the culture. But
Where in January were you?
Little city called Halle on der Saale. It was in the most depressed region of East Germany, in a place called Saxony-Anhalt. The highest unemployment rate in Germany. It was really suffered from the fall of the wall, because all of the industries in East Germany pretty much died overnight because they weren't competitive relative to their West German.
Oh, wow.
So it was a very depressed region. A lot of people didn't have English as a second language. They had Russian as a second language.
Oh, right. So that's why you were teaching.
So I was teaching these unemployed Germans, that were looking to expand their skill set to make them more employable. But there was like engineers working as butchers and things it was an interesting.
What an experience!
Place, even 20 years after the wall had fell, when I was there. So.
Oh wow, that far! That's crazy. That they still struggle. You think they still do now? It has improved the European Union.
Don't know. Yeah, I think they've still got issues.
Wow.
But anyway, so a couple of years there, 7 years in London before that, working in finance, accounting, business, turnaround sort of stuff.
You're very good with maths then.
No, not as good as I used to be. I can tell you that.
Would you think you'd be good at civil engineering?
Civil engineering, is that like building parks and playgrounds and like designing?
Yeah, but I mean, that requires a lot of,
I think there's many lifetimes that you could live, isn't there? Of the things that I could imagine of doing that would be enjoyable, that would, like architecture would be amazing.
You like architecture?
Yeah.
Well, it's maths stuff.
I've got a funny story about architecture if you like.
Yeah, I would love to.
Not actually about architecture, but more about my naivety as a person. But a friend had given me a copy of the book The Fountainhead, which is by Ayn Rand. Now, I didn't know who Ayn Rand was. But I was loving this book, and I was taking it everywhere I went, including to a state conference for the Green Party. And I'm walking around the halls of this Green conference with my Ayn Rand book, not knowing that Ayn Rand was this neoliberal conservative that was, despised by the left wing.
Okay.
And I remember the ex-mayor, Jan Barham, looking at the book and looking at me going like, what are you doing? And I had no clue, So ages later, but anyway, the book is about an architect, and it's a great book.
Wow,
fantastic.
Yeah, Jan, she was. Now that we have another female, she was she was for two terms or so.
I think 2 terms as mayor, and served in the upper house of New South Wales for I think a period of time.
I haven't seen her for years.
I don't know if it was 8 years or. But I think she was there for a while, yeah. Yeah.
Because I think she was something like replacing Ian Cohen or something like that.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
We've always been strongly represented, I say we, I'm no longer in the Greens, but we as a region have been strongly represented in the Green Party. It's been
What was it?
A stronghold for the party up here, outside of their Sydney.
Yes. It is very strong up here.
Yeah.
One of the things that was really hard a few years back, that was like the Green was having some kind of internal conflict in the Byron Council, and it forced you to be an independent.
Do remember something about that? Yeah.
It forced you to be an independent. What kind of conflict that can arise among politicians other than disagreeing on policies and stuff that causes?
I think a lot of it comes down to personality.
Okay.
But the politics were interesting there. Simon Richardson was considered and was a mentor to myself and to Sarah and Jai, the current mayor, who remained in the Greens after I left, and the old guard of the Greens, the stalwarts from yesteryear, the Terania Creek protesting when they
all these from the 60s,
group didn't like where Simon was taking us, and didn't like the fact that Sarah and I voted with him and agreed with his approach. And Simon had a much more pragmatic people-oriented approach, I think, in council than previous Green representatives, and that didn't sit well with the party. And Sarah and I, that was who we were as well, and that's the way that we rolled, and so we didn't do well in the pre-selection, and coming for the next elections, I was determined to be surplus to requirements. So I said, that's fine. I gave them the 4 years, and then COVID extended the term of the council, which was a massive opportunity for me because I signed up for 4 years. I gave them 4 years, but then I had another year and 3 months to prepare and then run a campaign as an independent.
You did really well, though.
And I did well.
You became a mayor.
And I became mayor. I won a pretty hotly contested election, with your swivels and your, and Azrin was making a run, I think. I think it was...
There was swivel.
It was. Azrin was making his first run after him.
Duncan Day.
Duncan Day was the mayoral
Ian
candidate.
Cohen came back, returned as well to the scene.
Yeah, it was an interesting Greens ticket. They didn't do so well that election.
No, they didn't,
But, I had a great team with me as well. The Labor Party were strong. Kate Curry ran as an independent, and then COVID was just this issue with the vaccination overlay.
That's
it was
right.
just, there was, and then
I think you were pretty fair with the vaccination issues because you didn't jump on board to say, I'm siding with this, with that. You just let people be, let them choose. And I think that was a very fair thing to do.
It was lucky because that was my position.
Yes.
I wasn't there to tell, and it's just not my business, right? Like that, and that was my position.
Yes.
I made my own choice for me.
Yeah.
Now, if I hadn't have vaccinated myself and had that position, I don't think I would have won. But the fact that I'd made the decision for myself that I was vaccinated, but I didn't tell other people what to do. I think that was the middle ground.
That was.
For, when you look at the vaccination rates, 80% of Byron Shire plus vaccinated against COVID.
Yeah.
Which is, no one expected that. I remember Wahid Ali on the project was cracking into Byron Shire, having a go at us about that we wouldn't, and he was surprised that we did that. But, people took it seriously and rightly or wrongly, there's a bit of retrospective. There's quite a number of people that vaccinated who probably wish they didn't in the long haul of understanding it all, and I've heard that said. But at the time where we were at, that was the majority view, clearly. But also the majority view was to not tell other people what to do, right? That was just where I landed, and I think where a lot of people landed. So
a lot of people, obviously, and they also a lot of people support you, and I remember people turning against people like Mandy Nolan, who's very outspoken about supporting the vaccination, and from people who's loving Mandy to I read some of the comments and I thought they don't necessarily have to be mean, they can just say I disagree. But COVID was a different time.
It sorted out the ladies from the girls, the men from the boys, didn't it? It was what a time.
Oh, got a crazy time. And so, what do you think now that positives are coming to Byron with all the changes around? Because I heard that the car park where Fishhead is, onto the Belonjo side next to the pool, is going to be a grass area. Is it true?
I think so. It's not 100% decided yet. But
and will we lose the pool, you think?
No, the pool's good.
Yeah. I remember Simon told me a few years back that we'll keep the pool because his daughters used to go there.
I don't think that's the reason, but
but I think it's going to
maybe when they grow up we'll get rid of the pool.
They grow up now, but I think it's that
No,
it's a community.
The car park is likely to go to a level. It's still in discussion, as I understand it, and I think revisiting it, because I think the way that debate was run, it didn't really allow for third or fourth options. It was sort of like this way or that way, and I think there were some ideas that came through during the consultation process that warrant further review.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure is that we need to replace the protection works on Johnson Street to protect the town from East Coast lows and erosion. So that's failing at the moment, the current rock walls and things that are there. So that all needs to be redone. We're just going through a process of determining where we draw the line. Do we continue the groin? Do we have a 10-metre back? We did consider a 30-metre retreat, but that's been ruled out. That would have taken out the pool. So then that's now off the table. So we have resolved on the line where we draw, if you like, the edge of the land where it meets the sea will be either where it is, with or without a groin, and then either 10 metres back or where it is. So that's all still being kind of considered. Yeah. But behind that line, I think it's pretty resolved that we are going to have less parking and more green space.
Yes, I think it's nice too.
But that's a real hot potato in terms of like people's views. So yeah, I won't say that it's definitive, but I'll just say that it's on other options need to discussion. Be, the other things that came through I'd like to investigate. And just try and get a bit, because it was 50-50 down the middle, that consultation, right? 50% said absolutely not, keep the car park. 50% said absolutely yes, we want to have green space. Yeah. So that's not a great place to be when you want to make a decision. Yeah. You want to get a bit more community support behind whichever way you're going to go. Yeah.
Why hasn't the market returned to Butler Street, to the old market?
It's the contamination of the Butler Street Reserve. So they had PFAS contamination that they're investigating, and the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, haven't given us the go-ahead for the full-scale market to return at Butler Street yet. They've allowed the area where the farmers market is, but not for the full-scale return.
Oh, I didn't know it was to do with contamination.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because we thought that, I thought it was... Because, like the market's really weird, because it was then in Johnson Street, along Johnson, very close part of Johnson Street, and then moved to the beach. But then the beach gets really windy, and some days it's really windy. It's hard.
It'd be good to settle on something, a bit more permanent when we can.
It's like the homelessness of the market. No place to be. Oh, wow. And with your experience living in Byron, so far from 2010, what's the changes that you wish would have changed for much better, or maybe remain unchanged, maybe, or something?
What changes do I perceive have happened, or what changes do I want to see?
Because obviously there's been changes, but some changes may have not necessarily be the best, because I hear I read community responses sometimes on social media. Let's say the new building from the Ray next to the Mercato, and apparently it's a really ugly building. For me, it's an eyesore. And sometimes I was like, if they're going to do development, maybe something very nice, very pleasant for the eyes, not an ugly square building that is just thrown away like that.
It's difficult to control things like that. From a council point of view, you can get you get shown pictures and things, but then modifications come through. We don't necessarily always have control over what can get approved or not. So that one you're talking about, where the old backpackers used to be, wasn't meant to look like that. It was meant to be a lot different. Mercado was meant to not have that big ugly concrete wall. That was all meant to be. So I think there's some learnings in there about how we ensure that what's on the box, is delivered.
Yes.
There's definitely some learnings there, but oftentimes they're able to just get modifications and things through the process once they get their DA to then make
they can do that.
Adjustments. What also doesn't help is just how expensive it is to build. The only thing really getting built at the moment are high-end apartments. It's the only thing that's really financially viable for developers. You know, it's great for, you could argue it's good for tourism, maybe, to have that in the town centre where, you know, you've got the 365-day STRA precinct, but really we need more affordable apartments, and that's what I'd like to see more of. That's the change I want to see.
That's what I'd like to hear more from you as well about this affordable housing and what you've seen the suffering in the community, because I mean you go to people's properties to see firsthand, because some people would have called you to say, come and look. And
it impacts on everything. If you people are spending so much money on rent, they're not spending in shops, right? Like it has impacts across the board. But it's a pretty tricky equation, because you just can't do it anymore. Like the market can't deliver it. It just doesn't happen. So it's not going to happen without government intervention.
Okay, so
or
we need
technological revolution, unless there's like a modular housing revolution, because it's still just as expensive to build modular. It just takes less time. I think more investigation into tiny homes with communal facilities. I think that's a potential pathway forward, but there's no tiny home definition that exists in the planning law that you can that enables you to do that just at the minute. You sort of have to fit inside one of the other type of delineations, like a manufactured home or a caravan park. It's not really fit for purpose when you're trying to build like a tiny home village.
Yes.
So that's something we're working on, but the pace is slow, and I'm getting impatient and I'm getting annoyed. You know, we haven't delivered housing in Mullumbimby that we said we deliver. We haven't delivered the car parking in Mullumbimby. We had said we're not delivering.
And what hinders the delivery?
I'm talking about government is not delivering on housing in the way it needs to. A lot of talk. I've been talking about it for 8 years, 10 years. I'm sick of it. But delivery is hard.
What can the community do to like helps drive the government? I mean, is there some kind of things we can sign, or?
I mean, sure, always, but
petition kind of thing.
I think there's just some fundamental. Like I can't imagine how we're going to do it without significant government investment at the into public housing, into social housing, but into just building affordable housing. You know, rent control it if you need to. Find a way to deliver that, and then invest in it. That's what needs to happen. As to how to rally the community behind that. I think, I've been certainly never missed an opportunity during my time as mayor to throw that in about housing and push for that. And unfortunately I lost some momentum with losing the last election when I feel like I was getting somewhere. But having said that, I'm not seeing across the board from state and federal government them taking the issue truly seriously. You look at immigration levels, and I don't want to make immigrants a scapegoat at all, but if you're not building the same amount of houses as what you're bringing people in to the country, then something's not right, in your settings. So it's just maths. It's not politics. It's not right wing, left wing scapegoating. It's just mathematics. You don't have enough housing. You're bringing X amount of people in, whether it be birthing them or importing them, and then you've got the demand on the other side. So you need to satisfy the demand with
meanwhile the
buildings.
local population growth as well.
Yeah. So I just don't think that the effort is strong enough from the level of government that can make the difference, which is state and federal. So in terms of what people can do, have a look at what people are really offering at the next state election for Ballina. Have a listen to what they actually want to do, practically what they want to do. What are they offering to be able to deliver housing to the community, to Ballina Shire, Ballina electorate, which is Ballina and Byron together. And no, this isn't a pitch for me running for state government. I'm not putting my hand up for the seat of Ballina. I'm just saying, look at the candidates, talk to them, and make it clear that we've got an election in 9 months, 8 months.
And that comes really quickly. It's like 8 weeks, really.
It was 12 months ago, I swear, like last week.
I remember seeing you at Santos. This is when you were managing Santos. And that's like before you became, while you were there. And I was thinking that felt like 2 weeks ago. I was just thinking about, felt like 2 weeks ago. And life has completely, going around, so much happening. And Byron, in a way as well, the infrastructure, a lot of the old homes are gone. Big, expensive houses are here, and like you say, it's empty. Most of them are empty. Even in Talofa, I have a friend that 2 houses in his neighborhood, like farmhouses, were sold to the same owner who don't live here, lived in Sydney, and she just bought the houses and left it empty. And he was trying to find out the owner so he could get people to rent the place rather than seeing it empty, because a lot of people asking for accommodations, and he doesn't have all the space to accommodate people. And as you're aware, people are, if you I've said this a few times on a podcast, that if you're a local children, if your local children grew up here, raised here, go to school here, your parents are here, but then suddenly you are out of school and you want to move homes, you want to have a job, you're either forced to be homeless if you choose to stay, living in a van, in a caravan if you can, or best option you have, sharing a house if you can find a share room, as a share house, and otherwise you're pushed away from your own hometown.
Yeah,
and so there are landlords who are really seeing the changes. People buy collected houses and not leaving them to rent. Is there a way that the council can create a policy or something to say you can't do this? Because I know it's a really hard thing to tiptoe around, because it's the same issues like the Airbnbs. That's just all profit.
Well, we've got to fight to keep that.
How do we fight to keep that down?
Well, we've got to call out the bullshit when we see it. So there's been stories that have been run from the pro-Stra, the pro-Airbnb lobby. They're trying to undercut us. They're saying it's not working, that it's not doing this and it's not doing that. It's complete bollocks. Like the changes have shored up our housing stock that exists. A lot of people ahead of that change coming in, a lot of investors, because they are quickly. Investors aren't stupid, right? Generally, they're pretty smart people. When they knew that change was coming, they got out. And they converted those into long-term lets. So a lot of the hard work was already done. So do a survey of a classic street anywhere around, and a number of places where we've brought that policy in, and you look at the history of the dwellings in certain streets, and you can see that things that used to be short-term let are now long-term let.
Okay.
Now the pro lobby are trying to say, the rental vacancy rate hasn't moved. And it's like, sure, I could build 1,000 houses tomorrow across this region.
Yes.
So let's call it, we could put 500 houses in Byron Shire tomorrow and rent them out. Within 3 to 6 months, the rental vacancy rate would return to 1%, to where it is. It would not solve the problem, and it would not, but every little bit would help. It would absolutely help to do that, just as it helped when we freed up 500, 700 homes from holiday letting into the permanent market. It helps. But to use the argument, it hasn't changed the rental vacancy rate, that doesn't mean the policy hasn't worked, that the policy hasn't delivered long-term rentals. It has. What it means is the problem is so large that we need to do a hell of a lot more to actually get to the point where we have addressed the problem. And holiday letting was never a silver bullet to cure the housing crisis. It's just one of a suite of reforms. The restricting of holiday letting is one of a suite of reforms that need to happen, the most important of which is building the houses. And we're not building the houses, and we can't because the market won't deliver it, other than high-end stuff. So we need intervention.
Yes.
So for any prospective ballot candidate, I will be asking, what will you be doing in Parliament to advance the interests of locals who need housing?
There we go.
That's what we can do.
There's a clue.
I didn't know if I was going to be able to answer that, but I did. So.
No, well, you know what you're talking about. That's why you could answer it.
It's been a pleasure to join you on your podcast. How long have you been doing this?
It's only started like 4 months ago, Michael.
Okay.
And I was really surprised that it's going quite well.
Okay. You'll be a YouTube sensation in no time.
No, stop it. I used to do the radio show at Bay FM, and I was thinking of returning to it, and I thought, I'm not going to have time. Like going there, even if it's just once a week. Yeah, not just the preparation, but also there is the other things, other little things you have to do. And I just thought, also because the reason I don't return, because you only have a limited amount of time to allow guests to speak, because like the radio show may just be for 1 hour and could be just 2 hours maximum. And some of my guests that like to speak a lot more, whether it's life story or cultural things, sometimes so I allow them to take their time. So sometimes it's over 3 hours, so and it's very interesting to allow that to happen, because people are not rushing. And you can't really do that on the radio, because the next slot is somebody else's show. So I just let this be. And then some of the guests like, oh, can I come back for another episode? I said, of course, as many episodes you want to. And so they bring photographs, historical images of the family.
Can I come back about 3 months before the next election?
Of course. You'll be a high priority. I really am so glad that you make time, even though I know you're very busy, and
it's been a pleasure.
Super important.
Oh, well, that's one thing I've learned in my time is that.
What did you learn?
Well, they talk about the hierarchy of needs and Maslow and everything, but the need to feel important, I think, is like the top of everyone's list, right? And like even just having this Santos thing now to do, it's a good feeling. It's like it gives you you have a purpose, you have a reason, you have something to do, something that you are that is important, you're required, and it's a good feeling.
Because otherwise, if you don't have that feeling, you wake up, you're lying in bed, it's like, what am I to do today? What's my purpose? You question it. But when you have the sense of feeling, I am important today, this is the things that I'm going to do, you just get up and go and do it. And because you kind of focus as well, and that requires self-discipline to focus. And a lot of us get distracted with so many things that are not necessary. Yeah. And anyway, do you need to go? Or
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Can I hold you? I'll just tie you up and keep talking. No, but anyway, will you come back if I invite you for another time?
Absolutely, and it doesn't just have to be around election time.
Of course.
We can do one in between.
Of course. I'd love to chat about so many other things.
Yeah, let's open it up,
it's
talk about everything,
Yeah,
pets, kids, whatever.
The conversations that we do is cover art, life, and culture. So very much everything.
All right.
And I remember you being in the music scene a lot, in the art scene a lot before as well. That's how, I remember. And so kind of interesting to see the people in a circle, like Maddie become an author, Madeline. She's coming on Monday.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Tell her that I know we owe her money, but we will get it to her, okay?
I want to buy her book, and I keep going to the market. I need to buy her books anyway.
She had some in Santos. And, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of the things. We've got to look after our suppliers.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Michael.
Thanks, Francesca. Give me a cuddle. All right. Give me a cuddle. All right.